Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ange, and today's video is going to be my March wrap-up. So, I feel like I haven't sat down and filmed the video in literally ages. It's been a while. Life has gotten really crazy for me, so I think I've kind of talked about it a little bit in past videos, but long story short, I was missing a class that I needed to graduate. So if you don't know, I'm getting my master's in library and information science, graduating this spring, and I was missing a class that I needed, a required class. So I was fortunately, I have the most incredible professor in the entire world. She was able to get me into her class halfway through the semester. So I had like 8 weeks worth of school to catch up on. With assignments and all that. So I got a little behind on everything. I found that out March 8th, I think was the day that I figured that out. And spring break was the week after. So this month has been busy. However, I was still able to read 7 books, which I think is really good. So anyway, I have no life. Actually, no, I did a lot of stuff in March. I went on spring break to Wisconsin. I have a whole, well, not a whole thing, but in one of my reading vlogs, I was there. Today is actually April 2nd. It's about 11 in the morning right now. I've been up since 2 a.m. this time because this past week I traveled across the country to Virginia with my sister-in-law, and then I flew back from DC this morning. So we left her place at like 3:30 East Coast time, which is like 2:30 our time. So I've been up since like 3 o'clock. My first flight was at 6 a.m. out of DC, and I got into Iowa at 9:30. So I'm exhausted, to say the least. I'm probably gonna go take a nap after this. So sorry if my energy levels are a little low. I'm pretty tired. Okay, but anyway, 7 books, which is really awesome. I'm counting the book that I finished on the plane this morning as my one because I read most of it in April, or in March. Goodness gracious, this is gonna be rough. In March. So I'm counting it as this one. Okay, the first book that I read was A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer Armentrout, and this is the first book in the Flesh and Fire series, which is the prequel series to the Blood and Ash series. So this is like, I started tabbing also, as you can tell. There were so many tabs, and I'm actually really, really glad that I did. This it's confusing. It's kind of nice to read this after having read the first 3 from Blood and Ash books, because it talks about like the gods and the primals, so you're learning more about what was happening in Elysium at the time. So this book, really, I felt like I was reading The Bridge Kingdom meets From Blood and Ash. Like, it almost felt like I was just reading From Blood and Ash, but with Lara as the female character from The Bridge Kingdom. So if you've read that, that's what I felt like. So this book is about this young woman named Seraphina. She is the first maiden, which is different than the maiden from Blood and Ash series. It's just a little different. So her being a maiden is that she was promised to a god. She was promised to the god of death. She was promised to Nyktos. She was to be his consort. So this is about the consort. She's really cool. She's really awesome. She reminds me of Poppy. Like, I literally felt like I could be reading this word for word. It's like From Blood and Ash, but give them new character names and a little bit different of a story, but it literally felt the same. So Seraphina has, I don't want to give anything away is the thing. Anyway, I'll try not to give anything away. Seraphina is the maiden promised to be the consort. She meets a god named Ash early on in this book and kind of gets to know him a little bit, and also sees some other gods who are coming to the mortal realm and kind of causing some destruction and like not doing good things. And so it's kind of like weird. They don't normally do that. And she kind of wants to like help stop them. She has her mother's not really great. Her father's been dead, and she has a terrible brother. And then she has a really good friend, and I can't even remember what her name is. So, like, it really was just like From Blood and Ash, but like It was like, it's like when your friend asks to copy your homework and you don't want them to be the exact same, you change it up a little bit. But so it's like the first half felt like From Blood and Ash, and then the second half was a little bit different. And so I actually really, really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. I really, really like Nyktos a lot. I also really like the consort. I was getting a little angry towards the end because of certain things that were happening. You get to meet the Drakens and some of the other gods in Primal. So it was just really cool. Obviously, I tabbed so much. I was trying to connect as much as I could to From Blood and Ash. And I just really like the romance between Nyktos and Seraphina. So good. So good. So this was one of my favorite books for March. So then after that, I finished that like perfectly in time to read The War of Two Queens. So I read The War of Two Queens. Took me kind of a long time. I kind of read some stuff in between while I was reading The War of Two Queens. Because The War of Two Queens, like I got to it right as I figured out that my schedule was like completely off. So I just didn't have time to sit and coast through it. I do have an entire reading vlog on it. So if you're interested in hearing like my total thoughts on it, go ahead and listen. However, I'll say it was good. My least favorite, I think, of the series so far. I gave it 4 stars, and I have to say, if I hadn't read A Shadow in the Ember, I think I would have been a lot more lost and a lot more confused. And so I think I enjoyed it a lot because I read A Shadow in the Ember, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know what's happening. Like, I know things that the characters don't know. But because this is the 4th book in the series, I'm not going to give like much detail about it. If you don't know what the From Blood and Ash series is, it is a fantasy series, and it's about this woman named Poppy. She is the maiden who the Ascended, this group of people are called the Ascended, have been waiting until she reaches a certain age where they would like ascend her, basically. She was kind of raised like secluded, like no one could talk to her. She couldn't talk to anybody. No one really was supposed to look at her. She had to wear a veil. She had royal guards constantly so that no one would like approach her. And one of the guards, his name is Victor, he kind of acts as like a father figure to her and is training her to be really badass, basically. And this other guard comes into the picture. His name is Hawk, and basically is kind of her bodyguard-ish, royal guard. And then he escorts her to another city in, I think it's called Solus, is the name of the country. But then stuff doesn't really go as planned. So I'm not going to say much more than that. I don't want to give a lot away. It's a very popular series. Really, really good. It's one of my favorite fantasy series. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly because they're all pretty short. So I read book 3 and book 4 of the Chronicles of Narnia, The Horse and His Boy and Prince Caspian. These are both by C.S. Lewis. If you don't know what the Chronicles of Narnia is, it's a children's fantasy series by C.S. Lewis, written back in the 1950s. I think I gave both of these 4 stars. I gave the first 2 5 stars, but these just, I'm going to say it, the movie is better for Prince Caspian. The movie is better. And maybe it's because of Ben Barnes. I don't know. The movie's better. This one, I remember liking it more than I did this time. This was my 3rd time rereading both of these. So I don't know. I feel like I liked them more previously than I did these times. So they both got 4 stars. They're super, super good. I'm always amazed at how C.S. Lewis makes me just feel so many emotions. And I don't, in these children's books, they're just so good. I absolutely love them. So 4 stars for those. The next book that I read is a graphic novel. It is another children's book. It is called The Lost Heir. It is the second Wings of Fire graphic novel. I really love this series. I got this one from the library, so I checked this one out from the library, and I'm waiting to get the 3rd one. It's so good. It's so good. So this is about these 5, they're called dragonettes. They're just like baby dragons, basically. 5 dragonettes, and they were prophesized to end the war on dragons. So this book focused on the sea wing dragon. Her name is, oh my goodness, what's her name? Tsunami. Her name is Tsunami. And she is like the lost princess of this kind of dragon. So they go back and find their kind of hidden home world and find her mom who had been missing her. And they're basically just trying to end the war, and they're trying to learn about the outside life. They were raised, like, secluded to be, like, protected, and, like, raised and trained. But then the dragons who were guarding them kind of, like, I think they got killed. I can't remember. And so they, like, escaped. And now they are trying to find their families because they were kind of stolen from their families at a young age when they were just little eggs. So it's just kind of about each dragon, and I'm really enjoying it. They're so good. They're so cute. The graphics are amazing. This is by Sutherland. Really like it. Really good. The next graphic novel that I read is actually adult. It is the Lore of Olympus by Rachel Smythe. I had actually started reading this as a webtoons, because it's a webtoons that got turned into a physical volume. And I had been reading this as a webtoons almost a year ago, probably. I didn't get very far. I think I got like the first 5 chapters, but I didn't keep up with it. And then they brought it out as like a physical copy, and our local library had this. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I checked it out when I was working one day and went home and read it that night, and it was so good. I want the next volume, but I'm pretty sure it's probably on webtoons, but I want to wait until the like physical volume is out because I'd like to read those more than I do on my phone. It's really good. It's a Hades and Persephone's retelling. It's kind of got like a modern twist on it. Like, it's not modern, but like they're going to parties and like driving cars, and they have cell phones and stuff like that. And it's really good. Persephone is like this super innocent and naive. And Hades is like, you know, the dark and mysterious, but like deeply misunderstood. Total softy on the inside. It's really good. I really enjoy it so far. It kind of left on like a cliffhanger kind of thing. Not really a cliffhanger, but just like at a part where I'm like, I want the next one really bad. I think I gave that one, I might have given that one 5 stars. I can't remember. I think I also gave the Lost Heir 5 stars, the last book I read. The next book that I read was another graphic novel. And I was reading these 3 graphic novels while I was reading The War of Two Queens. So that's kind of why I've read so many. I was like trying to keep up with my book count, but also like needing a break from The War of Two Queens. The next graphic novel that I read, it's called a manga. Like it literally says the manga on it. And that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Not by Rainbow Rowell. Adapted by Sam. Oh no, it's Sam something. Names are eluding me. I don't have the physical volume. Another one I checked out from the library in the teen section. Fangirl is one of my all-time favorite books. And I love it because Rainbow Rowell is from Omaha, Nebraska, which is 30 minutes from where I grew up. So like she mentions these things that I recognize and I know, and I've been there, and it's just, I never really had that growing up in Iowa, so it's fun to read books like that. Anyway, Fangirl it's my favorite book because it's me. It's literally me as a character. So the main character's name is Cather, but she goes by Kath, and she has a twin sister named Ren. So their mom hadn't been expecting twins and had the name picked out. It was Catherine. So she split it in half, Cather and Ren. Funny. Anyway, their mom's not in the picture. She left them at a very young age. And they were with their father. And so the story picks up as they are moving to college. They are growing up and they've been moving to college. Kath is a fan fiction writer. I was not a fan fiction writer, but I was definitely deeply into the fandoms. She's got a pretty like good following on her fanfic site, and she writes fanfiction for this series called the Simon Snow series, Simon Snow Chronicles or something like that. And basically it's like a Harry Potter series. Like I think it's based off Harry Potter, but it's like if Harry Potter and Draco were a thing. So that's what she writes. Anyway, they're waiting on like the 8th book to come out, so like they're still writing fanfic. But so Kath they go to college, same college, and Rin kind of goes off and does her own thing, like doesn't want to stay in the same room, doesn't really want to hang out that much. She's kind of going off and partying, which is not Kath's like area. She's like, I don't want to drink, I don't want to go out late. And that was me. Like that was me in undergrad. I did not go out. I did not party. I did not drink. It's not something I was interested in. Whereas like my best friend, who I made room with me, she liked to do all that stuff. She liked to go out. She liked to drink and party. So I totally get where Kath is coming from. She totally like is loving her nerdiness, is really missing home. And it's just a beautiful coming of age story where you're going off into college, you're growing up, you're kind of becoming your own person. She meets her roommate's, it's not her boyfriend, I think it's just her friend. He's super annoying, but he's awesome. I think his name is Levi. And her roommate basically forces her to be friends with them because it's like out of pity. She's like, you have no friends. This is embarrassing. So they kind of become friends and it's just beautiful. I absolutely love this book. I used to have the physical copy, and when I stupidly got rid of a bunch of my books when I got married, I lost it. So I donated it. I need to rebuy it because I absolutely love it and I would love to reread the actual book. But I want to read the second volume of this because this was just the first, and I need more. I need more. And I need to read more Rainbow Rowell because I love Rainbow Rowell. Okay, last freaking book. Let's go. So the last book I read was the Book of Cold Cases by Simon St. James. And this was interesting. I'm giving it 4 stars. I just finished this morning on the plane. Like, we're literally right when we were like landing in Cedar Rapids. I freaking finished this book. So I was thinking this was going to feel more like a thriller. It didn't, and it was okay. It was okay that it didn't. It was very interesting. So it kind of has a dual timeline. So it's set in 2017, and our main character, Shay, is a receptionist at a doctor's office during the day and is a true crime blogger at night. Obsessed with true crime. She was kind of abducted a little bit. She got into a stranger's vehicle when she was 9, and that person ended up being a child serial killer. And she had escaped and was able to go to the police and tell them what had happened, and they were able to capture him. Anyway, she's obsessed with true crime. And in present day 2017, she's working at the office and this person walks in. She looks super familiar. It turns out that it was this woman who was accused of murdering 2 men in the little Oregon town in 1977. So it's 40 years later, and Shay ends up being able to get an interview with this lady, and they're starting to unravel the mystery of what really happened. The accused is named Beth, and she has been living in their family mansion for the last 40 years. It is untouched, has not changed. And there are secrets in this house that need to come out, and she is wanting them to come out. And she has Shay over there in interviewing and all of that stuff. But the thing is, this also has a The thing is, this also has a paranormal element to it. So there are ghosts in this. Like, you get that paranormal feel. And it's just really interesting. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about this when I got halfway in the book. Seemed like we'd solved the mystery, solved the murders, solved what happened. So in the beginning, it kind of pops back and forth. We're getting a little bits and pieces from parts of what was going on in the 70s when they're starting to kind of interview her and trying to what do you call that when she's not going through trial, but she's just interrogating. But then we're back in present day when Shay is doing all her research. And then halfway through the novel, we were like, oh, okay, this is what happened. This is interesting. And so I'm like, okay, how do we still have 150 pages left to go? Turns out the last half is it starts in the 1960s and kind of leads up to the grand reveal of what happens. And so you're getting a bunch of chapters of the 1960, 1961, 1968, 1973, all of this stuff leading up to the big shebang, and all the secrets are revealed by the end. I really enjoyed this. It was really good. It was a very quick read. It was a little eerie. I definitely jumped and got creeped out at a couple parts. Not one that I would want to read at night laying in bed, but it was really good. It's just so fascinating. So this was my book of the month choice for this month, and I am glad I got it. I've had some bad book of the month choices this month or this year. I haven't had some good ones for a while. So this was much needed and I really enjoyed it. So as you can tell, I tried to annotate this one. I thought something was going to happen that didn't happen. And so those are the two things. And then nothing happened after that. So I need to just take them out because there's no point in having them in there. Anyway, those are the 7 books that I read in the month of March. And you know what? They were good. I had a pretty good month. Even though I was crazy busy, I just have 1 month of school left. Can't wait. Oh my goodness, it's almost there. But now I'm at the anxious period of, oh, I need to apply for like real jobs and we need to find a house and all of this stuff. So it's getting kind of stressful, but it's okay. We're going to survive. I think my favorite book of this month was probably A Shadow in the Ember or one of the graphic novels. I don't know. I should probably wrap this up because I feel like I've been talking forever, and I'm sorry if these were not the best synopsises. I did not really think this through as I was sitting down to film. I don't script anything out. I don't ever read like the synopses on the back. So it's just off of what I can even remember from what I read. So I apologize for that. But anyway, I'm gonna go take a nap, I think. And in April, I am planning on reading through Throne of Glass. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm pretty excited for it. So I'm going to wrap this up. If you'd like to follow me on any social medias, they will be linked down below. I've got Instagram, Goodreads, and TikTok. I hope you guys had a great week. And I'll see you guys in my next video, which should hopefully be next weekend. So, bye!